In this video, we're going to look at how to put content on Moodle which your students can see, but those who aren't your students can't see at all. And this is particularly useful when you share a course with other teachers. For example, here in week 6, term 1, I've got the self-evaluation homework for my students to hand in. But this is what other students see who aren't in my group. And for teachers, they'll see the activity, but it's greyed out, and underneath it says not available unless you belong to Sam's class, hidden otherwise. And we're going to see how to do this now. There are two parts to this process. First, we need to create a group within the Moodle course, and then once we have our groups, we can make any activity visible to only that particular group. So to add groups, go to the course you want your group in, and in the administration block you want users, and from below users you have groups, and when you click on that it takes you to the groups page. As you can see, in this course there are 3 groups, but let's say we wanted to create another group for students that needed to do some extra work. Well, to do that we want to use the Create Group button, and we'll call it the Extra Grammar Group. The description isn't necessary, but it's sometimes useful to look at. So this is for students with IELTS writing below 5.5. Once I've created the group, I can scroll down to Save Changes. And here is my group. There's no members, so I've got to populate it. To do this, I click Add and Remove Users. I have my potential members here and my group members here, and I select those ones that I want in my group and push on Add. They jump across here to the other side and they are removed from this column. So I continue adding students to this list, and I might add the teacher to the list as well. If I've made any errors, I can select on the student I don't want and remove them from the list. Then, when I'm satisfied that I have all the correct users, I've finished and I can go back to my course. We're now in a position to make an activity invisible. I'm looking at an activity here. It's a homework which I want my students to submit, and it's the plan for their essay they're going to write. And at the moment the text is blue, and that means it's visible to all students. I want to make it visible only to my students, and to do that I need to turn editing on. I can either do that with the big blue button at the top right, or on the administration block I've got exactly the same. And now I'm given this edit button here. If I click on the drop down menu, I want to edit the settings. If you've put a content on Moodle before, you'll be familiar with all of these sections on this form: the general name and description, there's the availability if you're using it. What we're looking for is restrict access. If I open up this, there are no restrictions, and I want to add one. I want to base my restriction on the group. Students must match the following, and group. I can choose my group, and I click on Sam's class. Obviously, only groups that have been created on this course will appear here, so you have to have made your group first. And with the settings like that, only your students can access this group. But this little eye here, you notice it's blue, and if I hover over it, it tells me displayed grayed out if user does not meet this condition. Well, I don't want that. I want people who aren't my students just not to see this at all. So I want to click on this once, and now the eye is grey, and if I hover over it, hidden entirely if the user does not meet this condition. So that's how I'd like it to be. I'm going to save and return to course. Now, when I go back to the activity, because I'm a teacher, I see it greyed out, not available unless you belong to Sam's class, hidden otherwise. Let's see the student's view. If I switch role to, and then I choose student, I see what my students see, and that's because I included myself in the Sam's group. If I hadn't included my own name in Sam's group, this would be absolutely blank now, as week 5 is. Now I'm going to return to my normal role, and that's done.